week. We are now already on the third part of our Kristylopi knit along. The most exciting part, we're going to knit the yoke today. But first you have to remember, I'm going to draw a giveaway this week, and to be able to be eligible in the giveaway you have to subscribe to my channel, you have to like the videos, and you can also register in my Facebook group where we are chatting and exchanging pictures, but this is optional. And then of course you have to buy the pattern from my Kristylopi sweater, which you will find on my website and on Ravelry, and I've put all the links down. I'm getting really better at this. Well, so last time we had been knitting the sleeves, so I have one sleeve and then two sleeves, and I knitted another big needle, so I transferred the stitches of my sleeve on a smaller needle, so they are ready to knit with. I have put the underarm stitches on odd on a piece of stitch shoulder, or you can also use a piece of yarn or whatever, and then on the other side as well. And you remember that we have some elbow shaping, so we have to put the sleeves at the right place, and I had my red sleeve tribord and babord. So when I say right sleeve, or when I talk about the right sleeve of a sweater, I'm talking about my right or my left. So here I have my body, and now what we're going to do is that we're going to combine those three pieces together. And so when I look at my knitting, this is the left side and the right side, but if I'm putting it on me, this part is actually my right. So this is the right of the sweater and the left. So the right of the sweater will be on the left when I'm actually starting to knit. So it's always yours. All right, so we just have to combine now. So to combine, we just have like those kind of three tubes, so we're just going to put them all together like this, and then continue knitting it around. So the reason why we leave some underarm stitches is because we're not like flat as a piece of paper. We have three-dimensional, so we need about this space here on the underarm. So this depends on how wide you are here, so that we can actually move when we are in the sweater. And if there are some sweater designs that you've been using and sometimes you feel like they're really like uncomfortable, it might be that there's not enough underarm stitches underneath. I mean, again, patterns are just using standard measurements. We're all different, and we may all have some you know, different features that we know about, and we know we have to make some adjustments for any sweater we are knitting. So it may be a little bit difficult at the beginning to figure out, but once you have, you kind of come with a sort of a recipe, and then yeah, it's much easier. So we're going to combine, and probably I'm going to show you do it a little bit closer. Here is my body, and I put it on a smaller needle, but now I'm going to use my needle to continue knitting in the round. So I'm knitting now the first stitches, which are the front stitches on the right side, my right side, and you knit the number of stitches that is indicated in the instructions. I don't remember how much it is for me. I'm going to check this out. I'm done knitting my right front, and now I'm going to put the same number of stitches, that is 10 for me, that I had put on all for the underarms, on a stitch shoulder or on a piece of yarn. So if you're using a piece of yarn, you can of course thread a needle, or you can just do it like this, just as if you're knitting it and taking the end of the needle. No, I'm just like thread it off. Takes a bit of time, but but it works. You can also just thread it on a needle and then slide all the stitches, and I want to make sure I have enough yarn, so I haven't cut any piece of yarn yet. How much do I have? I forgot already. Okay. Of course, it works also the continental way, just it's even more efficient. You just have to pull like this, and then I want to make sure that I'm not going to miss my stitches, so that I will just cut a piece of yarn like this. I don't want it to have too long, there's no point. And then I'll just make a little knot just to make sure it will stay there. So I have my 2 purl stitches here. I have my first round, I have my underarm stitches, and then I have to choose my right sleeve, which is the one for me with the red thread, and then I'm going to knit the stitches from my needle directly from the body like this, and so I will have the underarm stitches facing each other on the end. So just going to do that. Knitting all the stitches from the sleeve. And I'm just pulling loops as I need. I like to pull a loop about in the middle of the sleeve, so it just doesn't get like completely tight and distort the underarms. Just pull one loop out. Those went off the needle. I'm just putting them back. And here we go. So we have our body, our sleeve, our 2 underarm stitches, and now I'm going to join in and knit the back stitches. And I will have those 2 underarm here facing, and once we're done with the yoke and everything, we will close this gap. So now I'm just in the continuity. I'll just knit the back stitches. So the pattern is telling you how many back stitches there are. I have no idea how many, so I'm just going to go and check. I'm done with my back stitches, and now I'm going to put the underarm stitches of the body on a stitch holder. So I use this big safety pin, and you can also use all sorts of things. You can also use little safety pins, then I would maybe put like only 5, half of the stitches on one and half of the stitches on the second one, just to make sure. It's very punty. I don't want to. Just to make sure that you don't have all the stitches like all close together on one tiny little safety pins, and then they got caught. But here we are. And then normally, if you want to check before you knit your sleeve, you should have the same number of stitches on your left front than you had on your right front. But now I'm here with my knitting, so I'm going to introduce the left sleeve. So this is what it looks like. I have the right sleeve, and now I'm putting the left sleeve, so it's my left. I know this is my left sleeve because I have my little mark, but what happens if you forgot and you have no idea which one is your left sleeve and which one is your right sleeve? So this is my left sleeve, and when I keep it about like this flat, so this is my underarm here, and then I have my elbow a little bit towards this size when I lie it down. I mean, intuitively you would maybe want to have it on the side and not on the front, but it does make sense. So if I put the sleeve on, and I put the underarm stitches on the underarm, you will notice that the end of my run, which is where the increases are, is actually not here underneath, but hands on the sides, and my elbow is just towards them. So that's why the elbow is here. It does seem maybe counterlogical, but it's because the middle of the underarm ends on the right side of our hands and not underneath here, if that makes any sense. This is just the way we are made. Okay, so that's just a little trick in case you forgot which one is your left or which one is your right. But now I'm just going to simply knit the my left sleeve in the continuity of my back. And it's the same here. I have kind of sort of a loop on my sleeve. Make kind of a loop so I don't have to, knit all the stitches flat, and then the underarm would get like really overstretched. So I'm just pulling out a loop on my cable so I can knit the other half of the sleeves. It doesn't need to be half, just just about. Okay, so here we are, and now we just have to knit the left stitches at the front that are left, and those two are going to face each other. So I have to stop saying so. It really gets on my nerves. But here I am. So I knit my front. I knit my right front. I knitted my sleeve. I have my underarm stitches here. I knitted my back. I knitted my sleeve. I have my underarm stitches facing. And now I'm going to knit in the continuity my body front, the left side, my left side this time, and then I will be done combining. So I have to take the right line, and normally you should have the same number of stitches on the left front and on the right side. If not, it's probably because you made a little mistake somewhere. I'm almost there. And I arrived to my 2 purl stitches, which are marking the end of the round. Yeah, and here I am. So I've been combining my sweater. So here we go. I have my sleeves, my body, and then I have the gap here underneath. And if I wanted to try the sweater on at that point, make sure it fits. I mean, I would put this on more needles and then just kind of work on the yoke. So now we're going to continue and finally get to the color work. So we'll have a few decreases to make before. That depends on sizes. There's nothing particular about it. You just knit two together. So I'll let you do that, and then we're going to the yoke. So this is my shirt, and you can see that there is a frame, a blue frame that we're going to repeat. So we want the sweater to be the same on each side because it's a cardigan, so we want a symmetry. So we want it to start and end in the same manner. So there may be some little things that differs. So how to read the chart? You knit first the stitches 1 to 8, and then you repeat this frame like this. You knit all this again and again and again, the number of times that the pattern says. And then when you're done with all those repeats, normally you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches left, and you knit them according to the chart, just like following. And then you go to the next round, and so you knit the first 8 stitches, and then the next stitches you repeat them. And then when you have 5 stitches left, you're knitting those stitches. So and then we knit all this following the colors indicated in the chart. And then at one point we start to make some decreases. So this is how the decreases work. So we knit the first 8 stitches, and then we work to the frame. Then there's nothing, and we just do nothing. It's just there's no stitch. It's because we've knitted the stitch below here and this one from the row 10 together. So when we arrived here with our main color, we knit 1 stitch, and then we knit 2 stitches together, and that's why there's a stitch here in between. It's all white within the frame because it disappears. And then we continue knitting until the end of the frame, and then we repeat the frame. So each time we repeat the frame, we are making a new decrease
And this is how we are making some decrease that are equal distance of each other. And so if we repeat the motif 12 times, we will make 12 decrease. If we repeat the motif 17 times, then it would be 17 decrease. And when we're done, arrives again at the end, then we will knit the 5 stitches that are left in the colors. So we're going to do that together. I'm going to knit the first round with you. So I have my 2 purl stitches, which is the end of my round. So, and then I'm going to knit with my main color the first 6 stitches. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I have 1 stitch in blue. So for me, it will be this dark brown with some silk. That was the in room. And then I have 1 stitch with the main color, and then I'm working within the frame. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then I will keep my dominant color on my left, and you can go back to the sleeve to know how to hold your yarn. Just remember to stretch that one and knit this contrasting color here. So it's my dominant color, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then remember to stretch before knitting this one here, this one that is blue. We are still inside the frame, and then we have 1 stitch with the main color. And now we're going to repeat the frame. So we have 4 stitches. So basically what we have is like 5 stitches with the main color and repeat, and in between 1 stitch with the contrasting color. So it's like 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. And then at the very end, we will end with 6. We have 5 here plus 1, 6. So that's it. So we're going to do that. I'm going to do it with you, just to remind you a little bit how to hold the colors together. But you will remember you have your main color, which is your recessive color on your right, and your left color on the left. I'm going to arrange this a little bit. And then you can work like I did before, holding the recessive color in your right hand and knitting the English way with it. So I have 5 stitches, and then picking up the dominant color. 1, 2. Or you can have both on the right hand. In that case, you have your recessive color, the main color, on your index, and the color from the contrasting color, which is the dominant color, on your major. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here I remember to stretch, so my floats are not too tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I usually insert my needle, stretch, and wrap. And then you can also have your colors on the left hand, and in that case, instead of having my main color on my index, it's the contrary. I will have my dominant color on the index and my recessive color on the major. So the one that is the closest to me is the recessive color. So here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Here I make sure to stretch my stitches, and then I'm just knitting my contrasting color, dominant color, contrasting color, and then continue like this. So whichever method you like best. So I'm getting to my last repeat. So this was my last repeat from here at the blue frame, and then I have 5 stitches left, 5, which is exactly what I have. Yeah, so you know you didn't make any mistake. All right, now we are getting to our purl stitches. So remember, this one I made a short purl, so I will have to knit it with the back loop, through the back loop, and make a short purl, or you can also make the Norwegian purl. Now, what color am I going to knit those stick stitches with? I mean, I don't want to have to strand my dominant color over the, you know, like 12, more than 12 stitches. So we usually try to have the floats the smallest possible, especially around the purl stitches that tends to roll, because we're going to cut this anyway, so it doesn't matter which color you use. So for that one, for the purl, I will use my contrasting color, my dominant color. So I will stretch the stitches, make the 2 purl stitches. Did I do the short purl? Yeah, 1 short, 1 normal, and then I can go back to my main color, and this way I won't have at the back, I won't have this floats of brown like going all the way, like all this way, because this is really a recipe to have everything too tight. And now I'm going to knit my next round, so we're going to read the chart together. So I start with 4 stitches with the main color. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then I have 1 stitches with the contrasting color, some here, and then 1, 2, 3. So 1, and I'm knitting on top of my contrasting color, and here. And now we're getting to our frame, so we need 1 with the contrasting color, 3 main color, 1, 3, 1, and then 1. So it's like, this is the repeat, so it's like 3, 3, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1. And this is how I will kind of remind it, but you can always like put a little marker if you want between the repeat, if it makes you feel more comfortable to begin with. So I'm starting my repeat and make 1, and then 1, 2 and 3, and then 1, which is easy to see because it's on top of the previous row. You're making a little straight line. Then I have 1, 2, 3 again, and then 1, and then here, and then on top of it 2, 3, and then we start again. So with 1 here, So we are here, so we start with this 1 3 1 3 1 2 and 3 and 1 and 1 2, oops, 2 and 3 and 1, then on top and this one, and then we start again. So I'm arriving again to my I'm not even looking at the chart. I know I have to go here, one here, one here. So I have like three in between, and then I have this one where I have 2 little on each side of one that goes underneath, and then I should have 4 stitches left with the main colors, so I'm good to go. And then here I'm going again to use my contrasting color to make my purl stitches. So I'm doing a short purl, and then the row 3, it's very easy. We start with 2 stitches, and then it's like 1 1 1 1 1, and then there's the repeat, and it's always like 1 1 1 1 1. So it's just basically knit 1, knit 2, and then here I will personally choose this method then to work 1 and 2 1 and 2 1 2, but basically I do 1 2 1 2 1, and each time you have a contrasting color, it should always be on top of another contrasting color from the main row. So this is also another way to check that your pattern was right, and it's pretty easy. I'm arriving to the end of my round, so my 2 purl stitches, and now I'm going to change colors. So I'm not going to knit this color anymore, so this time I'm just going to knit the purl to purl the purl stitch with my main color, and then I don't need this yarn anymore, so just break it. Expect there is silk in that one, so I may need scissors, but okay, we could do it. Then what I usually do, so I'm just purling with my main color, and then what I usually do, but if you forget or if you don't know, it doesn't matter, we can always do it later, is that I put the yarn, the end that I'm not used, I just put it in the middle of my purl stitches like this, so they will start at the front. And this way, when the yarn is lying at the back, when we are sewing for the stick, then we will secure all those yarn ends, and we never have to actually darn them in, which is quite a good thing. And then when I introduce my new color, so I keep it at the left, I do the same. I put the end in the between like this, and then I make my second purl stitch, my stick stitches, and then I'm ready to again knit with, so I follow the pattern. It's the yellow here in the chart, so it's like an easy 1 2, it's like 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3, no, it's 1 3 1 3 1 1, so it's the same that this blue rose we had before. So and it's relatively easy because here we have it on top, right on top of of the previous round, so we know this is where we have our 3 together and then a 3 in between, then 3 main, 1 3 main, and then this little 3 things. Yeah, so I'm going to continue knitting. Don't forget to stretch your knitting. It's very important to keep really your strength in knitting elastic, especially around the yoke, because it's around the shoulders. And then you have your motif color, dominant color in this place on the left and your main color on the right. And they should never tangle. If they tangle, it means that you have something happen in the dominance. If this happens, I mean, there's no point really unraveling. You just put everything again together the way it should be, and then you just continue with your life and just try to pay attention. But yarn should never tangle when doing stranded knitting. All right, so I see you now on row 11. I will have to choose a new color, and then we have this first decrease that we're going to see together. Here we are, reaching round 11. I have to change color, and I had first think of going to the greens, dark green, but then I didn't have any in my stash, so I find this color, and I mean the contrast is good, which I knew. So I'm going to use that one rather, and then because I have a color change, I'm purling with my main color. And I'm putting my tail here. I'll set it to the left, up, purling. And then now I can follow the pattern. So I'm knitting 2 with my main color. Then 3 with the contrasting color. And then it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. And now I have reached my repeat. So what is my repeat? It's like 3 with the contrasting color, 1, 2, and 3, and 1 with the main color. Then there is kind of this white gap, and then after I just ignore it, and I'll just go straight to the next square where it's supposed to be knit together. And then I have 3 contrasting color, 1 main color, 1 contrasting color, 1 main color. I'm arrived here, and then I start again over here. So I have, oops, 1, 2, and 3, 1 with the main color, 2 together with the main color, 3, 1, 2, 3 with my contrasting color, and then I have 1 contrasting color alone, kind of a stem in between, and then I start all over again. So 1, 2, and 3, and then I have 2 in between, and the second is 2 together. Yeah. And then here, when I'm doing my 2 together, I know here I have my little stem here, and I know I need 1 alone and then 2 together. So I have a stem of 3 stitches. I'm just going to make them into 2. And this way, by checking the motif that is actually being made, that's why I don't need the chart anymore. Then you see I have the little stem here, and then the 2 together is just above. So we have 3 stitches here, where's the stem here, and now we will just have 2. And then this, the start of this cross, like the beginning here, it's aligned on the point of the triangle. And this way, by just referring to what's below, it's easier not to make any mistake, which is why I don't like to put a line just so you know at which row you are. I mean, you can do that, but then there are some transparent one which are much better, because then you can refer to what's behind, and then you can really check as you go that everything is aligning. So I don't know where I am, and I don't need my chart anymore. See, I'm going to take it away and up. So where am I? So I made my 2 together. Yeah, then I have my beginning of leaf, so it's 3, and I have 1 alone, and then I have this 1 contrasting color that is aligning on my little point, which it is 1 alone. Then I have the other 3. It's kind of a leaf pattern, wine leaf pattern, and then I have 1, and then I have this 2 together here on top of my little stem. So I don't need the chart, and I can just concentrate on the knitting. All right, so before we actually go to the second decrease, maybe I was just going to show you the round 12, because there is this kind of hole here, and we just ignore it. We just do that. There's nothing there. So here it goes. So we start with 2, with the 3 with the main color, and then, well, it's just easy. I mean, we had this like 3 stitches, and we always make like a little triangle. There's 1 stitch in between, and then 1, and then we make the beginning of a cross. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going into our repeats. So we start with 1 with the main color, 1 in the middle of the 3 that were underneath, and then we have 1, 2, we just, there's no stitch, so we just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then knit those. So it's like 1 contrasting color, 1 main color, 3 with this contrasting color, and then we start all over again here, and we repeat this. On row 13, I think, and I have some floats that are 6 stitches long, and I won't drop the yarn, but I'm really careful when I knit those 2 stitches to elongate this enough before I actually knit the other color. it's like 6. I really want that the floats at the back is not too tight. So when my stitches are like this, I mean, I will have this big loop, which is perfectly normal. But so the phone rang. What was I saying? Yeah, so we don't trap the floats. So we have 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so if you want to put your knitting in the inside, like I mentioned with the sleeve, it will just be maybe easier to see the floats and let them relax enough. And what's happening if we are trapping the yarn? I'm showing you on another sweater. So it's my Barina sweater. So here I trap the floats on. I mean, you can see it. It's coming in the middle. Here I didn't. So this is really specific to, I would say, Icelandic wool when it's knitting a bit loose, because the wool wants to occupy the space you want to give it. So as soon as you leave a little bit space for it, it's just like boop, pop up. So I would trap floats if I'm working with a much tighter Icelandic type of ferrule. I will trap the floats if there are far too much strands, but with lopi it's, I don't do it, and then it will also tend to like to kind of slightly felt, because the yarn is so fuzzy, so you won't see anything really. All right, and now we're going to reach the second increase soon. This pattern is so quick. I barely have the time to sit on this, on the couch, and the sweater is already. So this is absolutely not what I had in mind with the colors, but I wanted to go with some greens and then, you know, just do a flower, and then I'm kind of in the middle of some autumnal colors, but I kind of quite like it. So I'm just going to see where it takes me. But now we're getting on row 15. So there is an increase inside the repeat, but there is also a decrease, not an increase, but there is also, as you can see, a decrease in the first part of the sweater. So we just do like we do, just follow. So we knit the first stitch with the main color, and then we have 2 stitches together with the contrasting color. It's the white in that case, orange for me. Then I have 1, 2, 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3 stitches with the main color, 1 with the contrasting color, and 1 with the main color. So I'm arrived here, and now I have my repeat. So my repeat is like 2 stitches with the main color, then 1 with the contrasting color, 1 with the main color, and then here there's nothing, so I'll just go directly here, and it's 2 stitches together with the contrasting color, then 1, 2, and 3, and then 1. So again, we can see this one alone is in the middle of the triangle, and then the last one, and that's the end of my repeat. And then I repeat here again and again and again. So it's like 1, 2, and then 1 alone, 1 together, 2 together with the white in the pattern, and it's the orange for me. 3 main color, 1, 2, and 3. You can can still hear my needles. Then we have, you know, if you look at underneath, we have these stitches alone, which is in the middle. So it's kind of easy to see it. And then there's 3 stitches on each side, 1, 2, 3. And then there's this 1 stitches alone. So it's in the middle of the triangle. We have 1, 2, and then 2 together with that 1. Done with my yoke, and as you can see, I didn't go at all with the color I had originally planned. I was wanting to do some greens and go to the blues and red. This is what came out of my stitch, and I'm quite happy with it actually. I still have the last round of the color work to make, and I just wanted to show you because I always use the same needle when I have a smaller diameter on the yoke, then I would just simply drag a loop like this so that I can continue knitting in the round. And when I can't anymore, then I will drag another loop. Now that we are completely done with the color work, we are going to add some short rows at the neck, at the back of the neck, because for the moment the sweater, it has no front or back, and what will happen is that it's just going to sit here up on the front, and then on the back, because we are made like this, it will be a bit too low, so we will be kind of cold here. So we want to add a bit of short rows to do that, to just to cover the back of the neck. So this is a very easy way to you know, to make the sweater fit better. Not necessarily the most refined one, so I have other ways to do sweater like this one. This is my Brynja sweater. I'm going to put it on so you can see what it looks like. But here you can see there is the yoke is clearly, especially if I go on the side, the yoke is clearly going down here, but there's no addition at the back of the neck. And I've been using another method with short rows that are underneath the motif, and there are many other ways to do that. But for this sweater, we will have the yoke that is like, for the Kristylopi, the yoke is perfectly horizontal. It doesn't go down following the neckline, but then there is some extra short rows to cover the neck. We're doing the short rows at the nip of the back, so we have to knit a certain number of stitches. I'm going to count. 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then we turn. We make the yarn over simply by bringing the yarn to the back, and then we purl the number of stitches required. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, and then we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 in my size. All right, so I'm just taking this last loop off, and then we're turning. we're making our yarn over by bringing the yarn to the front, and then we knit. So the pattern says to knit to 4 stitches before the gap, that is the last turn. Oops, I'm getting at the end of my yarn. I'm just now reaching the end of my first skein of Kristylopi. Ooh, it's because it's been made so short also, the sweater. So this is my turn, very easy to spot it, and then we have the yarn over, 1 stitch, so there's like 2 stitches and 4 stitches, so we're just going to go knit until there and then make the turn. And turn. Yarn over and purl back, also 2 4 stitches before the last gap. So my gap is here, so I will just go until there. So I have my yarn over and my pair of yarn over stitch, that's count as 2 stitches, and then 4. And depending on the sizes, you will have to repeat those many times, but in my size I have only 2, so I have the first one where I counted stitches, and then I just had to do the working to 4 stitches before the gap just once, so I have 2 gaps in all. And now we're going to just simply to resume knitting in the round, and as we come to the gap we are going to close them. So this is what I'm going to do. So here we have my last yarn over, because we have been turning, so there will be a gap as well. So this was my yarn over and my stitch, so I knit them 2 together so that the yarn over is underneath and you can see it, and I knit to the next stitch before the gap, which is my yarn over, and then I do again knit 2 stitches together, and then we continue knitting in the round. So we're going to knit to the end of the round, and then continue knitting 1 more round so that we can close the gaps that are on the left side. So I have reached my 2 gaps here. They're very easy to spot. So this time I'm knitting to 1 stitch before the gap, and then I have a knit stitch and a yarn over, so I'm going to make a SK, so slip slip knit, so that the yarn over is underneath, and here's the next gap, so I do the same so that the yarn over is underneath the stitch and doesn't show. And then I continue resume knitting to the end of the round, that is in the middle here. I'm done with the decrease, and now we're going to change for the smaller needle, and we're going to bind off the 2 purl stitches in the middle. I mean, because I don't know, for some reason I always want to knit the to knit the ribbing back and forth. We could also just knit it in the rounds, continue to make the purl stitches, and then simply just stick it and bind off everything at the same time. So I'm just working my ribbing on the smaller size needle. And I'm still making my, oops, you can't see anything. I'm still making my, so now I'm just knitting the ribbing, and I'll make sure that I keep the short purl or the Norwegian purl on track. And then we just have to bind off, and we're done with the knitting part of our sweater. And after that, we still have the finishing, which take a bit of a longer time because it's a cardigan. A sweater would be much quicker. Now ready to bind off, maintaining the rib pattern. So what does it mean? It means that we're going to bind off but still continue to knit the knit and purl the purl. So I knit the first two, and I'm knitting through the back loop because of the short purl. Then I bind off, and the next stitch is a purl stitch, and then I bind off. The next stitch is also a purl, and I bind off. And then again a knit, bind off, and then if let's do other thing, let's just pretend we're doing a Norwegian purl, and then bind off, purl, bind off, and then we knit and bind off, and so forth. And this will keep the edge relatively elastic and nice. I'm done with the decrease, and now we're going to change for the smaller needle, and we're going to bind off the two purl stitches in the middle. I mean, because I don't know, for some reason I always want to knit the ribbing back and forth. We could also just knit it in the rounds, continue to make the purl stitches, and then simply just stick it and bind off everything at the same time. So now I'm just knitting the ribbing, and I'll make sure that I keep the short purl or the Norwegian purl on track. Now ready to bind off, maintaining the rib pattern. So what does it mean? It means that we're going to bind off but still continue to knit the knit and purl the purl. So I knit the first two, and I'm knitting through the back loop because of the short purl. Then I bind off, and the next stitch is a purl stitch, and then I bind off. The next stitch is also a purl, and I bind off, and then again a knit, bind off. So I'm done with my sweater. I kind of like it. So
a bit small on me because it's not for me, it's a bit short too, but I still like it. Yeah, it's not really my color either. Yeah, so I've been using mustache, so I went for Einrum here and then Kristylopi, and then it's just Kristylopi that are in stock, yeah. And here I use some double Kristylopi instead of the Kristylopi, which works. And then the yellow, it was some leftover from the yellow for the original Kristylopi. Then I put them some white and then some cream, and I'm thinking maybe of putting a little accent here, maybe some embroidery. I don't know yet. Maybe some red, or you know, just to embroider after all. It's just the little stitch in the middle of the flower. Just putting a bit tiny red, or so this one is Kristylopi, or maybe this one. I would have to make some try. This one is more like pinkish, and this is a blend of alpaca and Icelandic wool. But that's really one of the things that I really like so much about hand knitting, is that you can really do whatever you want. So I really like that this and this, I mean, those are all the same sweater, and they just look completely differently. So you can really make your own style and just improvise with the colors and what you have, you know, make some trials. And I hope you find it inspiring. Now, next time we will have to close those underarms. We will have to wash the sweater, stick it. I mean, there is down in all the ends. There will be plenty to do. But now it's going to be time to draw our week giveaway. And this week, because I've been talking about the Brinia sweater, is a kit and a pattern to knit this sweater in the colors of your choice, of course, because we can choose our colors, and your size. So my daughter once more has been drawing the winner. I don't know how she does it, but I have nothing to do with it, so it's complete coincidence. And the winner is Celine Karasinski. I hope I pronounced it right. I think she's from France, or from a French-speaking country at least. So please do be in touch with me, so I can send you the kit and we can choose your colors. And until next time, have a nice week.